Okay.
You're gonna have to throw the scotch out when you're done with it.
Let's get this thing rolling here.
We good?
Yeah, we're good. Everybody's good. We are here at On the Fly Research and Transportation with Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules. We got Arnie. Say hi, Arnie.
Hello.
We got Jesse.
Hello.
We got Jordan.
Hello.
And we got Jeff.
Hey.
And then we got from the Lunatics, we got Carter and Joel in the back.
Hello.
Hello.
This is feeling very culty so far.
You drank that Kool-Aid, right? Yeah, so we're here. We wanted to have these guys over, talk a little music, jam a little bit. Wanted to start by introducing these guys, Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules. In between the dimensional fingers of time and space lives a being with unlimited astrological funkintelligence. His name is Groovy Louie. His only purpose is to spread the funk so all beings have the ability to survive. During Groovy's endless quest, he has recruited a group of modern funk disciples to aid in his objective, a group he admirably refers to as the Time Capsules. Together, Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules have signed their souls to the intergalactic mother. That's very culty. Signed their souls to the intergalactic mothers of funk, promising to preserve life by juicing the funk out of every corner of the unknown universe. So that's a pretty heady.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. That's
Yeah. So I want to talk about you guys. It's an awesome concept. It's really fucking cool. Like you have like a kind of a built-in narrative and kind of theme. So can you talk about a little bit about that? I don't know.
Jeff, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I don't know. Groovy Louie just kind of started as he's that that being, that interdimensional funk being inside of all of us, right? But like it all started with like cartoons and stupid drawings of just goofy space dude, and then like every song that we've all written kind of just like started following this guy, this thing, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we like this thing.
Yeah. Sort of like
It's
stories were sort of like born out of the original character, which is Groovy Louie, and then like more characters came along that had backstories, and narrative sort of
So it wasn't
developed.
necessarily intentional to start, but just kind of after you had the character, it just kind of you started writing and it.
I guess it started with like Groovy Louie, right, as a character.
Yeah. Well, Jeff had the band name for like 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules was a band name.
So it was a band name first.
Yeah.
That he had for like 10 years, and then
We were listening to Black Joe Lewis and the Honey Bears one day, and I think Jeff came over and was like, who the fuck are you listening to? Groovy Louie and the Time Capsules?
I just made some stupid name up, and I'm like, wait a second.
It was so many years ago. Like we never thought it would come back, but then when we started this project, we were like, oh, we should bring that back.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
It is a great name. And no one's Groovy Louie in the band, really.
No.
Correct.
It's like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's like one of those. frequently asked
Except
questions.
worse.
There's a little groovy in everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I like that.
Everybody.
Well, it's like Leonard Skinner, Like, who's Leonard? Actually, I guess Leonard Skinner
exactly
is a real
right.
person.
well, Leonard's actually a really good guitar player.
He was their gym teacher.
Yeah.
And he
Their
was
high
a
school
jerk off. Are we swearing on this?
Yeah, you can swear.
He's an asshole.
Oh fuck.
You can fucking swear as much as you want.
All right, cool.
Wait, so I was
anyway.
wondering, did like the space thing come from anything in particular, or like did that just kind of come with like? I was wondering like the origin of that character, or like, were you guys just drawing like astronauts?
Honestly, it was like I think we were all really into Parliament Funkadelic, like just really hard at the same time for like some weird reason, and then we were like, let's have a funk band, and like they're just totally space funk out of this world, kind of
Space has always been
crazy
this, like,
shit,
funky concept.
And I just love that. It's just the best, and like so like we just love that band, So whenever we get space stuff, I think a lot of it's inspired by that.
I'd say that's the glue
and
for sure.
the image that they have as well is just like they have this crazy, just outlandish, crazy look.
Right.
It's super cool. But that's where my space is.
And you
comes
do
from.
you do all the art, right?
I do most of it. I think Jesse did some stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff does a lot of it. He does,
I don't
he
think
does-
you've done anything really in like a year. in like a year
Put it
or
this
two,
way,
maybe.
Jeff does 99.99% of
I
it.
guess I've been doing most of it.
But
Yeah.
that 0.1% is really important.
It's all
Did a couple
Yeah.
things.
And one time Jesse drew a dick on the set list.
creative. Yes.
creative and funny.
Which is it's
Actually,
really
that's not true, Jesse. You've
No,
done
it's all-
you've done the actual
No, but
designs.
it's all Jeff. He came up with the design.
Like the original sticker that we had, you know, that was all you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and some original OG posters. Like I remember the store one that says like we
Yeah,
played at the
come in,
store.
we're
Oh yeah, that was.
And it was
you.
like come in.
So,
we're
yeah,
open
it's been
sign,
about
it
a
said,
year.
Come in, we're grooving.
Yeah.
I think that was Jesse too.
it's cool because like all your the posters and the art, it all's kind of very tied together. Like artistically, it has a real strong image, which is kind of cool that you guys have that. I have the one kung fu poster,
Nice.
and he's like it's Groovy Louie, but he's like got some like
Got a kung fu
moves
move,
going on.
yeah.
It's like it's cool to kind of have that tying all the stuff together.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
so excited about that show and that poster. We were like, yeah, we can make a poster. Like Jeff made this poster. Is it cool? Like with you guys if we use this? And they're like, sure. Like yeah.
I think
I really like that Jeff does all the artwork too because it's awesome, and I think he just has this style where you can look at it and you'd know that it's like a Groovy Louie thing,
Yeah.
even if it didn't say Groovy Louie.
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
know.
Really
Maybe just because
captures
I
the
know his
music.
artwork, but
No, definitely.
I feel like I could look at it and be like, that's
Yeah.
a Groovy Louie thing.
I agree.
And the fact that we have him like on our core group of friends, actually, obviously, he's a bass player, right? The fact that he's just readily available to make a poster or artwork for any occasion,
Right.
and so the fact that we've like been able to accumulate so much artwork, like kind of adds to that narrative that you're talking about.
Yeah.
like it kind of helps build the scene,
Right.
and stories.
And it's kind of cool because then it allows you don't necessarily have to have something musical in like the overarching theme. Like if you put it in the imagery of it, it helps build that too. That you
Right,
don't have to-
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to have that.
Like there's been characters that we've had like for a little bit, and then time has passed and we've been like, oh, this is what his name is, and we're gonna write a song about him now.
Yeah, yeah.
Clive Jackson.
Scato Grimes.
Scato Grimes, yeah, that's a good example.
Scato Grimes is
He'll smell
a
this.
chronic weed smoker. He's a chronic weed smoker.
He's a chronic.
Chronic
Yeah.
smoker, that's what it is.
Chronic, yeah.
All that.
Yeah, little Smelvis. He's like kind of a fat looking, like little alien Elvis looking dude. He's very abrasive.
Tiny little alien Elvis.
Yeah.
Kind of smells a little bit for no reason. It's not like offensive, but it's like, all right,
Smells a little funky.
he's cool though. He's
Not
like
a bad
cool.
way.
When you smell it, you know he's around. You don't know what it is though.
Yeah, I was talking. I forget who I was talking to, but you guys are working on new stuff right now. Is
Yeah.
that continuing the conceptual theme, or what's kind of the idea with the new stuff?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think we're going with the flow. We're not really like. We're still like writing stories and like concepts about stuff. I don't think there's gonna be like a. Well, I don't know.
It'll definitely be a continuation of the story.
I was gonna say, I think,
You know what I mean?
I think there's like totally a continuation idea. Just like new characters, like new
Right.
concepts. Like we have this song that's gonna be in the new album called Miami Sandwich, and that's this whole song about a funky sandwich that,
It's deeper than that. Though.
I don't know. It's a metaphor, kind of.
Jesse wrote this one. This is
Yeah.
a good one.
Have a Miami sandwich on me. Have
Yeah.
a Miami sandwich.
in a tree.
That's
not in
even
the
part of I don't even know that word.
To making a song. You know? I was doing the dishes and I was just singing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, so like that's like a thing, they could throw it to the world.
Yeah.
Scato Grimes is a new like jazzy, scat song. Like he smokes weed and he scats.
But it's deeper than that.
It sounds. I understand. It sounds really stupid when I'm talking about it. but-
And I like your guys' lyrics because it's kind of tongue in cheek, at least from my perspective. It is kind of playing on the funk thing. Everything is funky comes to mind immediately because it's like it's playing on the ideas that a lot of bands. When I think when funk kind of was starting, they kind of had this like it's all about the music and we're just kind of like into these grooves, rhythms, but then I feel like that kind of got lost somewhere at some time and it's cool. I think you guys are kind of taking it back. It seems more like a old school approach rather than like I don't know. There's not like the preciousness about it that I think like some modern funk bands are
Right.
like, they take themselves a little too
It's like too
serious.
sacred.
Right, yeah.
I think it's too serious when the music itself is really just like loose and not taking itself seriously. I think it's weird to like
Yeah.
lyrically take it as seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Totally. It's not like we think we're like, you know, the most funky like band ever. Or, like,
But if you're gonna
it's not
do
like
it, you
we're
should.
so like funk or, you know. But I feel like that song actually is like sort of like not really mocking it, but sort of commenting on it.
Right.
Like everything's funky if you say it in a funky way. Like
Right.
you know, it's like
That and like take off your shoes. It all comes from like that raw, just like Parliament kind of mentality where it's just like it's funk.
Yeah.
It's funk. It's here to make you happy and have fun.
Yeah,
There you go. But
and I
pick up
love that
shoes
about
off.
it. It's like
Yeah.
it's like self-referential music. It's like you're talking about the stuff you're doing and stuff you're playing and like kind of the style
Yeah, right.
involved.
Yeah,
which
there's
is-
like half of the funk songs are about funk.
Right,
You know
which
what I
is-
mean?
which is so
It's
cool.
fucking hilarious.
It's-
you know
it's
what I mean?
like-
It's so cool.
it's like we take
Yeah.
it seriously by
Yeah.
like having these concepts like tied into other
Right.
songs and like the shoes. That's a concept in numerous songs that we reference. Like the Groove Majube, the Space Super. Like that's kind of our way of like taking it seriously by
Right.
like actually sort of you know, personification, like giving it this like
Right.
this deeper meaning, but without just being like too like focused, like too drilled down on like what it has to like exactly be.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's like any like cartoons or something. Like people worked really hard and were serious about making this cool piece of art, but that doesn't mean it wasn't silly and you know,
Right,
goofy
right.
and
Exactly.
you know,
Totally.
kind of
That's
fun.
something that we'll
sure.
kind of do too, where it's like if you're kind of doing that, where you're breaking that fourth wall, like kind of saying anything is funky, then it kind of opens up so that you guys can do whatever you want, really.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you can just kind of, it
Yeah.
gives you that freedom to just kind of mess with stuff and
Mm-hmm.
like you know, especially with that story, like you could take that wherever you guys want to go.
Right.
Like there's not really anything holding you back at all.
Because like it's
I
already
mean,
been
we have
done,
a song about
you
a
know?
sandwich.
It's-
So there's that.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's
Play
like,
with it, you know. Just play with it. Play
there's
with
no
the
musical
sandwich,
rules
you know?
of sandwiches. Like,
right.
who you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just. I mean, your album. We were listening to it today, and it's awesome. It's got like a concept. It's really strong, and it like you guys obviously blend in a lot of weird, crazy sounds, space sounds, which is fun. But yeah, then it's got some more progressive elements too. You know, there's a lot of improv on it. So on the newer stuff, are you kind of getting into more compositional? Are you keeping it jammier, or is there a difference? Or you're just kind of keeping the similarities?
Great question.
Yeah. So I wanted to make a point, and we've all talked about it too, that we do want it to like just be more songs, less jamming.
And kind of give us like the freedom to when we play it live to fit in jams.
Right.
Yeah.
Change
You know.
it for the live thing.
Yeah.
I think we sort of learned like the studio record is not necessarily the place for like a 6-minute jam in half your songs.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
it's like,
we-
which I mean,
yeah, we
we
did with the first
love the
one.
way it came out and everything, but it's just like from a listener's perspective, like,
Yeah.
you know, we wanted to try and make it more compositional, more lines, more thought behind like the sections and transitions than we really did for the first album. So yeah, definitely that's something we're thinking about.
Yeah, we got it out of our system. You know what I mean? Now
Well-
it's time to like.
Yeah. Well,
Obviously.
I think it's great because I think it helps kind of tie in the theme. Like I love that it has the jam sections and it kind of like I don't know. I feel like it is an introduction and it's kind of like you know introductory music has this kind of like instrumental side and it kind of shows like what you guys can do. So I think it's cool. But then there is kind of a thing about like listening back. Like if you're listening back to albums and it's like for some
It's
reason
a jam you've heard a bunch of times.
yeah, like it's
Right,
different than a
right.
song.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like you can listen to a song a bunch of times and it doesn't matter, but for some reason with jams it doesn't kind of retain that
Right.
you know energy.
You know how the guitar solo sounds. You know when
Right.
it's going to change. It's like,
Right.
okay, it's interesting the first
And
couple
that's-
times, then you're like, oh, no, I remember this.
That's one of the exciting parts about listening to improvisation is you don't know what's about to happen.
Right, exactly.
You know, so if you heard it a million times, you know everything. But I do think that, like the heavy amount of jamming on the first album is kind of like a comment on like how we kind of formed as a band.
It's totally Groovy Louie.
Because-
Totally Groovy Louie.
Like yeah, every practice we had. I mean, every practice we still have honestly, but especially for the first like 6 months or a year, it just would start off like whoever got their instrument set up and ready first would just start playing something. Whoever got their instrument ready next would just join in, and then eventually we were all just like jamming on something. Like nobody called the key, nobody said anything. We just all immediately started jamming, and it went on for like 30 or 45 minutes. And so that was when we realized like this is like we could do this live. Like we could improvise and jam live, and not have to worry about like what we're gonna do really.
Right.
Yeah, that is a cool way though to a cool experiment like to have done too, to just be like, okay, well, if you're gonna do this jam and it's gonna be on this record that you're playing multiple times, it makes you think about your approach has got to be different, because it's like, oh man, this is gonna be heard over and over again, as opposed to more like live once.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Like,
That's true. I don't know. That's true. Because I mean, we did like maybe like 4 or 5 takes on each song, and that means we had like 4 or 5 different jams to choose from when we were trying to pick one.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like, I don't know, I didn't feel any sort of like external pressure just because we were in the studio necessarily. I guess it's like there in the back of your head no matter what, but
Well, yeah, no, it's if you think about it too much, you'll kind of get in your own head.
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. Like you're just like, just standing here,
Yeah.
just jamming like normal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Act natural. It's good. It's cool.
Don't freak out. Don't freak out.
Speaking of jamming, you guys want to go jam?
Yeah.
So you guys jam a lot. Your band. I like to see you guys play because I notice a lot of things coming just from the basement. I mean, just what we were doing there. It kind of, even with other people involved, it kind of becomes Groovy Louie style with you guys. But yeah, you guys. My first takeaway is I notice a lot that it's like it's kind of very rooted in like a strong groove, and then it's like Arnie and Jordan harmonic playground that just jump around and like almost actively try to keep away from the key and the feel, which is super cool. Which is super cool because you guys can build really cool like tension and dissonance and then resolve it together. So do you guys do like any like exercises or like what? How do you approach your jamming and stuff?
Good question. Exercises, we'll do, I guess, sometimes things where like one guy will like kind of be in charge of like developing whatever riff is kind of going to be the groove, and then coming on top of that, kind of like what we were saying we're going to do for our next jam is like have one guy come in at a time.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Like just start off with drums and bass only, and then like after they kind of settle into a thing, then add guitar in, and then once that like starts to blend in and sound good, add keyboards in on top of that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, we kind of do that sometimes, but I think what you said is the nail on the head with like Jeff and Jesse. They kind of come from like more of this like heavier rock background kind of thing, and Arnie and me kind of came from more of like this improv heavy background. So Jeff and Jesse also being blood brothers.
The brother grooves.
Have this sort of way of just like kind of like locking it down for Artie in my harmonic playground.
You guys take
Yeah.
baths together.
Whoa.
Did we ever take baths? I don't think we were that kind of family.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, we were all four once, dude.
Did you ever take gas? Is that what you're talking about?
Take baths.
Oh, baths. I thought you were talking about acid and you were referring to it as ass.
He did kind of whisper it.
Did you guys take ass together?
Did you guys take acid and then take baths?
Never done that. Maybe it's time to start.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's like the McPoyles,
We're brothers.
kind of vibe.
It's fine.
But yeah, so like it's really cool to listen to.
I think that aspect too was like that, especially the harmonic playground thing is definitely a dead influence thing. Like from you guys, like that's you. Like there's some bands where I can like that to me is like a huge part of it is just the dead influence in there, which is cool because that was something about you guys that I liked a lot, which is like this dead influence with P-Funk, and I don't know how many bands have that combo. Really, because normally if you're coming from the funk background, it's very structured, like Ryan was saying, just like very like this is what we do,
Right.
And and P-Funk obviously is goofy, but I mean like the Dead are like a whole nother realm of insanity of like
And like funk is so tight and specific, and there's room, but it's like your part is like this, and it's all syncopated, like very intentional, and you can kind of jam. Like improvise in a funk style, but yeah, I guess like what Carter's saying, you guys don't improvise in a funk style. It's more of the like experimental dead approach.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's kind of cool that the way Jeff and I grew up. I mean, I don't think we ever really listened to the Grateful Dead growing up, as far as like really loving it.
Right.
Like American Beauty was like, okay,
that's a great album.
That's kind of all I really knew.
But we were always super into Primus, like Rage Against the Machine, like some older hip hop. And then once I met Arnie in school, like I feel like you grew up with the Dead more so than we did, and like to hear you play guitar, like nowadays, like it's kind of like you and Jordan are like, oh, it's like beautiful, it's like a beautiful shit. But then like when like Jeff and I come in, it's like it's a little more rugged and like
Right.
We're like the dirt, and you guys are like the flowers.
Wow, that is an actual really good way of putting it. You guys are like the foundation, and then Arnie and Jordan grow through you.
Yeah, we plant our seeds in you.
Okay.
Dirt. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it, and it definitely
No,
comes
it is.
across.
Yeah. I always, that was something I always appreciated about jamming with you guys, was like your heavy influence coming in from like like that background, like the bands that you were talking about you grew up listening to,
Yeah,
And like you guys too, but I feel like you guys are turning us on to stuff that we've never heard before, and we're doing the same thing. For you.
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. Like, every single one of my current favorite bands has been given to me by you guys. Like, you are literally the reason I'm listening to them. And it's mostly like, old hip hop and like, heavier stuff.
Yeah, like weird stuff.
Yeah.
I've been getting into The Residents lately. You guys listen to them?
No.
The Residents?
Yeah, it's fucking super weird.
Yeah, we
They're
listen to
super
them.
weird.
Like what?
Just weird
Like
hip hop.
This. No, it's
Weird
not
hip
hip
hop.
hop. It's
No, it's like this.
That's crazy.
Oh, there's like
some
a
songs
documentary
are
you
like,
told me to watch
yeah,
or something.
and then the other ones are just droney, weird.
Oh,
tribal,
cool.
That are, crazy though. Check them out.
Yeah, definitely.
They want to get weird with stuff.
Yeah, I love the kind of an unexpected benefit of doing this with other bands and stuff, and eventually it just devolves or evolves or whatever into be like, check these guys out, check these guys out. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
I think we do that every time we come together.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
fucking crazy, right?
Yeah, right. Devolve or evolve, you decide.
Yeah, I guess for the listener at home. Yeah, all right.
Where did the helmet come from?
Oh, that came from
we
some of
have
my
it
old
with
office
us?
buildings.
Office building?
Yeah, there was.
You just found it?
We had 8 floors in a skyscraper or whatever, and the company was losing money, so they're closing down floors, and they were mostly like abandoned floors. And we had these 2 interns who knew that I was playing with this, really weird space funk band, and because I was always just talking about it and passing out flyers and stuff, and so we sent the interns around to some of the empty floors to collect old computer equipment.
Yeah.
And they just came across that helmet. They were like, Jordan's gonna love this. And so they brought it to me, and I was like, Jeff, Jesse, and Arnie are gonna love this. And yeah, we brought it to pretty much every show. It usually ends up on people's heads dancing around in the crowd, passing it around to each other. And
Arnie remarked that it didn't smell as bad as he thought it
that doesn't really say that much.
Yeah, you know what? I have a bad nose. Why don't you give it a try?
Look at you.
would. All right.
no, it doesn't smell that bad.
We all
Let's
smelling
pass
it
it around.
Yeah,
Everyone-
pass it on
everybody
around.
smell it.
So we can drink beer out of this thing, probably.
Let's all say what we think.
It doesn't smell that bad.
Let's see.
It's not even bad necessarily. It's kind of got.
It kind of smells like an old hockey bag.
But
It's got age to it, you know.
yeah, it's
Like
lit.
a fine wine.
It smells not
It's like
brand
cheese.
new.
It does. Yeah.
It smells danced in.
Yeah, no. That's
Danced in. Yeah.
It smells like all your faces now. It's good though. It looks funny. It reminds us of the better days in the future.
Oh, it reminds us of the future.
So, whatever.
I wanted to ask about what do you think it is about because we kind of had this conversation outside a little bit about old school funk kind of being more of an influence on you guys than modern day. What about that stuff that relates to you or hits you guys so hard about music that's older and not necessarily related to the modern day world? Why are you going back and digging into that stuff the most?
Honestly, for me, when the newer kind of funk stuff, which is super cool, I do like a lot of stuff. I like seeing that live a lot too, but it's more like you're going to see jazz or something not jazz, I guess, but the opposite. Everything's kind of structured. There's this groove. Boom, you're gonna have that groove. Here comes the solo. Here's the verse. Boom, cool. Okay, you got a funk song. And not a lot of people sing in these funk bands these days. And when they do, I usually am I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
Right? But what I like about Parliament and Funkadelic is that they have they're insane musicians, but then they have this whole spirit from the vocals and these stories that are being made. That's funky as hell. You know what I mean? Music and the way they talk, what they talk about and shit. You know.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that anymore. So I wanted to dig because I was we could have done everything instrumental,
Right.
and that would have been cool. But to have the vocals on it now, I guess you don't hear as much as I would want to, So I'm yeah, let's fucking write words to it.
Yeah, it's almost like
Yeah.
a theatrical approach to improvisation.
Yeah.
Like Parliament, they would just be improvising for 20 minutes while George Clinton maybe would spit some crazy funk lyrics, or the
Yeah,
backup singers would be singing something really funky, or just anything could really happen. It was sort of very spontaneous.
Right.
Whereas you were saying a lot of funk bands nowadays that are hardcore funk. It's just
Mostly
A section, B
instrumental.
section, A,
Right.
B, bridge, maybe, and then that's it.
They really busted out of that blueprint a little bit,
Yeah.
That's what I think what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And the lyrics really complement the music too because it paints a broader picture, I think.
Right.
You know?
I'm curious though, like who some of these bands are. Like Parliament, obviously old school, but like what are some of these new school? Because I mean, like I'm thinking in my head, like Turquoise is a band who I consider funk, like a modern funk band. They kind of have their own like space carved out.
Right.
They're sort of like space funk too. It's like I don't know, but I love seeing Turquoise.
Yeah.
And I love their studio records. I listen to them. But I think it's less improvisation and more structure.
Yeah, Turquoise is like a machine.
Yeah, they're
That's
like a
pretty
machine.
much what they
A
are.
fucking awesome, crazy
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
Super fun to see live.
Yeah, totally. Well, I really only have one other question, and it's the question I'm gonna ask every band we ever have. What was your guys' worst show ever?
Oh man.
Oh man.
Let's think about this for a second.
I could probably do
one
a
thing
bunch of
somebody-
worst shows.
I can't decide between all of them.
At first, I thought it might be one of the ones when somebody was missing, but like those actually went pretty well.
They're fun at
Definitely not
least.
the worst one.
Oh man. Yeah.
Or the best story, if there's no like bad one that sticks out immediately.
Anything at Moody Tongue that could have happened?
Yeah.
We did that a lot of shit there.
Yeah, we played like a lot of shows at Moody Tongue last year.
I'm trying to think
Yeah,
of
do
what
those
else
just
is.
kind of blend together?
They really do, man.
Yeah.
We played like I think almost 30.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we played.
Yeah.
We played every week for like every Thursday for like
I don't even know how long.
5 months or something. Or
That's crazy.
from like
Yeah. And it was chill.
July from June. Yeah, from June to December.
Did you guys have all 4 of you for each one?
Yeah.
Man.
And sometimes we'd have
That's
guests
awesome.
and like themes and
Nice.
shit.
I think we were all missing for at least one of those shows.
All of the whole band was missing.
Well, you know what I
That
mean.
was definitely the worst.
That was the worst show.
We played nothing good.
I was there
That-
for
that
every
show.
one. I'm just saying that.
I don't think. Well, you were. You were.
Yeah, they read it was.
Yeah, worst show.
There was that one. You guys,
where Jeff almost
you
couldn't make
you
it
know
on
the story
Mars?
already of the Wolfpack show. Like I was just like, just driving it into everybody. I was just like being so annoying to everybody in the band about practice. Like if we don't have this whole fucking set down perfectly, we're gonna sound like shit. You know, not quite that over the top, but you know, I was just being annoying about it.
It
like,
was good, and we needed like some. We were like, all right, you're right. We
yeah.
gotta get this done.
And
But-
so I was just like being over the top,
he had
like,
shit down. He had
like
shit
just
down,
nagging the shit out of my poor friends. And
Well,
so
the
that-
first one we did at Moody Tongue was kind of
It
bad.
was pretty
it was
bad.
pretty bad.
that was part of the reason.
And then we got
first one
an
we did-
email from Donnie at Tonic Room. He's like, he saw that we were doing the Wolfpack show. He's like, yo, you guys want to do it at Tonic Room? And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, sure, we did great the
Second
first time.
chance. Second chance.
We could use a mulligan. So
Arguably, that show was better. Actually, we were pretty. Because
No, that was a great
because we
show.
played those songs.
we did, yeah. So I mean, the day the show finally came after weeks of nagging, and we were playing outro, and we got halfway through the form. And I went to the next like turnaround section before I was supposed to, and it's this really heavy piano part that holds it all together, and I was just playing it completely fucking wrong. And Jesse looks at me and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, nodding at him like, "I know I'm wrong, but you now have to do this." And I'm like pointing at him and pointing at me, and then he's like, "Okay." And so he starts playing where I am in the form, and then.
Meanwhile, these guys are doing.
And then Jesse's
I
looking
wasn't
at me,
even on
and we're
stage.
like, "Okay, we got this down." And then I was like, tell Jeff, he's in the corner over there by the bass area." And so he's like, "Oh yeah." And so he tells Jeff, "Hey Jeff, Jordan fucked up. We gotta play that now."
Well, I remember being on stage and like a couple bars went by and I'm like, am I playing the wrong
Right.
thing?
That's
And
the
then
first thought,
me and
usually.
Jesse kind of looked at each other and we were like,
You like can't wait for the set to be over just to know the puppy dog face.
Yeah.
we're good at recovering.
We
honestly,
are,
as
yeah.
a band. It's
I think we're also
nice,
good at being
actually.
like bullies to each other when somebody does fuck up.
It's hilarious.
We
Yeah.
always call each other out, and it's the best.
Yeah.
You have to.
It makes us better. It makes us better.
I love, and Tonic Room's so funny because it's kind of like in that line. So I'm sure like all the you get from the around, like everybody turns around and faces. Oh, that's so
I'm also trying to think like because we've had plenty of banter moments where we're just like talking and saying random shit to the microphone, like.
Jordan takes
Yeah.
takes the cake with that one.
Yeah,
Really good. I love it.
Put a couple drinks in me and I can just blab away.
I remember you talked about my Subway sandwich for a while at the store.
Yeah.
It just smelled up the whole room.
of onions.
Yeah, it reeked, man. I mean, I'm just saying what we're all thinking, honestly. It was a particularly lengthy, dragging on and on little banter thing. I say banter, but really I'm just blabbing. At least in this situation. This was at Moody Tongue, and Jesse had just gotten back from Louisville, and he had just written a song about his trip to Louisville. And each verse is like a true story, like about how he meets a hippie, and then like he goes to his first strip club, and then it turns out that's actually a brothel, and then he gets his first lap dance that he's ever had, and it turns out to be weirder than he thought it would be. Right? I'm getting that right?
You nailed the second verse.
Yeah.
Literally what the second
Yeah, it was weirder than I thought that it would be. Yeah, lap dance. You see lap dances in movies, and you're like, oh, that's probably cool, I guess. And then you actually got. I never had a lap dance, so I don't know. But anyway,
It's weirder than you think it's gonna be.
We should go as a band.
this is a perfect
You guys want to
example.
go right now?
yeah, well, let's back it.
Oh man, yeah, perfect example of blabbing on and on about tangents. But where's I going with that? Oh, so he had the song ready to go. It's sort of like a joke song. It's a real song. It's a real song, but it's like I was waiting to see if I pushed your button or not.
He just doesn't want it on the album. That's fine.
Maybe
We'll talk about it later.
the last track, like 20 minutes. 20 minutes of silence after the last track. and it'll
Yeah,
pop
a
up.
hidden secret
don't
track.
ruin
We
it for
decided
these
on
guys.
that. Hidden and secret.
Maybe
Scratch that from the record.
All right, so we got this song ready to go, and I'm talking into the microphone, just trying to announce it, like, yeah, like, blah 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 blah, you know, like everything I just said just now. I pretty much said it into the microphone, into the people who were at Moody Tongue, and we're like about to play it or whatever. And Jesse sings it. He's not like behind the drums at all, so he's up in front with the microphone. And so after I blabbed on for like a good couple of minutes drunkenly, Jesse just takes the microphone and he's like, I'll do the talking from here on out. So.
Hey, Country Jesse, man. I'll do the talking now, boys.
Oh man.
All right. Well, you guys. Anything else you guys want to say? Got any final thoughts?
I don't know, look out for the new one coming out whenever we finish it. I
Yeah.
don't have a date. Yeah.
This year.
This year.
Look out for the new album this year. We play a lot in and out of Chicago. So if you want to check us out on Facebook or whatever, then you can see what big gigs are coming up. And thanks for having us here, and thanks for supporting the live music.
I'd like to say, dig not of what you funk to groove, but groove what you dig to funk.
Cheers.
Well said. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one. Bye. back.
Yeah.
All right, is this thing on?
Say what you just said. Jeff and Arnie one time kissed on the lips.
I'm not
Not
gonna
that there's
deny
anything
it.
wrong with that.
It's funny. First thing I was like, which time?
I wasn't there. I
It
heard about it.
was okay.
I really don't remember.
It was yeah.
It was 1975.
We were talking about how
Oh,
we were
man.
such good friends, and that I would kiss you on the lips, and you were like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "Dude, you're my best friend, man. Let's kiss on the lips."
You're my best friend, man. Let's kiss on the lips.
This was after how many beers?
Slowly.
Was this at a show? After?
No,
Or-
it was at Stella's. It was at Stella's.
Just at a bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
Stella's. That's our watering hole. We go there all the time to play pool. If I was gonna kiss any of you guys, there would definitely be at Stella's.
It's coming. I thought you were gonna say it would definitely be Arnie.
I think you're not a true band.
I'd do it
until
again.
you-
I don't give a fuck.
You're not a real
I really
band until
would.
you kiss all of your members on the lips.
You know, it wasn't.
part of
It
it.
wasn't weird.
Yeah, I asked you about
It
it.
wasn't as weird as you thought it would be. No, like the lap dance.
It was actually better than you thought.
What
it
was
would be.
weird, the lap dance or them telling you about getting?
I think he saw. Did you see us kiss?
I don't think I did, actually.
Yeah.
I think-
I mean, lap dance was fun. It's just weirder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I kissed the dude, and I liked it.
Yeah. So.
Arnie's face with the cherry chapstick.
All right, now you guys got to write a song about kissing each other.
When I kissed Arnie on the lips. Take it away.
I got a boner so quick.
Nice. I felt it in my pants hole.
It was like a sandwich without the mayo.
Unwritten.
Nailed it.
All right, this went off the rails, but that's fine.
True story.
All right.
Can you put that over the jam we just did?
I might do that as a segue in the jam. Start putting the lyrics on that.
Yo, Jeff, what are you doing? Why are you grabbing Arnie's? Oh, they're kissing. Oh my God.
They're kissing so much.
Oh.
I love you, bro.
It's not
I
weird
love
at
you.
all either.
I don't regret kissing you.
Pow, motherfucking shit, got a groove in my shoe, but my shoe don't fit. I said pow, motherfucking shit, got a groove in my shoe, but my shoe don't fit. I said pow, motherfucking shit, I got a groove in my shoe, but my shoe don't fit. I said pow, motherfucking shit, in the groove of Jew with a cunt doobie in my lip. Everything's country if you say it in a country way. Don't you say, ping, pang, do-I shang, hang. It's country, but don't get a bang, doggone it. Everything's country if you say it in a country way. Don't you say, ping, pang, do-I cut through my doobie, moving my brains, you can't stop moving, doing it to keep
The party still.
moving. All right.
Yeehaw.
Don't you say, bing bang, do I shang hang. It's country, but don't be a thing.
That's right.
Everything's country if you say it in a country way. But don't you say, bing bang, do I come through? But you brains, you can't stop moving, doing this to keep
The party still doggone it,
That's
doggone
right,
it.
boys.
Yeehaw!
Oh, God darn it!
My sister's cousin once met you.
What?